So I feel like it's been since yesterday since we last talked, but I guess it's been a couple of weeks since I've participated in the Conyers Book Festival on April 11th. And I need to do an update just to let you guys know how that went, the pros and cons, how much I sold, what I sold, if I had any return, and if I will do it next year. So let's go ahead and get into this video. Yeah, I totally forgot to introduce myself. My name is Charity Ta'ala. I'm a romance author, and I'm on this journey of becoming somebody's favorite author. In this video, I'm just going to talk about my experience with doing a pretty well known book event and give you guys some insight on my point of view, how I felt about the event. I'll also insert a video of some footage I took. And yeah, hope you guys enjoy. Okay, so I have my notes here of everything I sold and whatnot. So I'm going to be looking down. If I'm looking down, it's because of that. So the book festival that I participated in was the Conyers Book Festival. I only participated on Saturday, which was April the 11th. It was a 2-day event. So they also had the event on the 12th, which was a Sunday. So let me just go straight into what I done. It cost $175 to get a booth. And as far as like the items I sold, in total, I sold 46 items, which sounds like a lot. Which is a lot. It sounds like a lot, but let me just break down what I sold and how much those items cost. So the event started at we had our setup time was between 7:30 and 8:30, but of course they want you to be completely set up by 9:30. The event started at 10. I didn't have my first sell until 12:05. And it was one of my soft cover books, and that sold for $13. My next sale happened at 12:15. Well, 12:15, 12:25 was the next two sales, and it was actually the same two people. They left and then they came back, but they bought two dust plugs. If you don't know what a dust plug is, it could fit into like an iPhone or a Kindle, and it has like a little charm on it. So I had those items as well. So they bought two dust plugs and 6 enamel pins. And the enamel pins they had like little cute like book sayings and stuff like that on them. So the 2 dust plugs, 6 enamel pins, and 1 medium-sized tote bag. That first transaction they had was $22. When it came back, they got 2 postcards and 3 dust plugs. The postcards are the artwork that I have from my novel art. So very excited that they got that, and because I wasn't sure how that was going to sell. This is my first time having my postcards out, so I was very stoked for those to get picked up that early. So the second transaction was $10.50. The next sale I had was at 12:28, and that person, they bought two plastic vases and 4 enamel pins. The plastic vases are like I call them what they call like on the bookshelf, or you can sit them on a counter or something like that. They have like some cute sayings on it. I'll try to put up some pictures of the items I'm saying that I sold. But they bought 2 of those and 4 enamel pins for $22. The next sale I had was around 1 p.m. They bought 1 dust plug, 1 metal bookmark for $6.50. At 1:15, I had someone that bought a tote bag for $10. At around 1:52, someone bought a dust plug and an enamel pen for $3.50. At 2:05, someone bought 2 enamel pens for $3. At 2:08, someone bought 3 dust plugs and 1 postcard for a total of $8.50. At 2:50, I had another sale. Someone bought 2 postcards and 3 enamel pens for a total of $11. At 2:50, someone bought a metal bookmark and a dust pen for $6.50. And then around, I didn't put the time for these last couple of ones, but it was, I think, like a whole almost an hour or so passed before I had my next sale. And this person bought a book lover gift set. And in those gift sets, she bought the $55 one. Let me let you know where we're in those sets. So the $55 one was my largest one, and that came with her choice of 2 paperback books. I did have 2, actually I had 3 different books there, or 4 if you want to count my art book. But I only had 2 versions of a paperback. So one story had a paperback and then another story had a paperback. So she just got 1 of each story. So it came with 2 paperback books, a glass cup, 4 character bookmarks, a crochet bookmark, metal bookmark, annotation highlighter, annotation tabs, 2 enamel pens, and or a Kindle dust plug, a tote bag, and a plastic vase. So all those came within the $55 book lover gift set. So she bought that, and then she also got 3 of my postcards, and her total came to $65. Then I want to say maybe around an hour after that, I had these 2 girls that came by, and they're looking at my looking at my books and stuff there, and then they're like, "Oh, we'll be back later." And they actually came back later, which was so sweet of them. They didn't have to do that because there were so many different authors and stuff there that they could have chosen to spending money for with them. But the fact that they came back, I was, very, very grateful for that. And so they both bought a book lover gift set as well. They bought the $45 set, and in this one you get a 1 hardcover, a glass cup, 4 character bookmarks, 1 crochet bookmark, an annotation highlighter, annotation tabs, 2 enamel pens, or 1 Kindle dust plug, and a tote bag. So they got those 2 things in their gift set. And then around almost closing time, like close to about 5 o'clock, I sold my last item, which was one of my books, for a paperback book for $13. So tallying all that up, it only came up to $284.50 in sales, which is good. I did get my booth fee back, but not tallying books I had to order. I did order more books because I had a new book, so I had to order copies of that one, and then I want to make sure I had enough hardback and paperback for my other stories. So that I had to, my art book I didn't need anymore because I still had supplies for that one. But I didn't have any paperbacks for my mature book for art. And I think I only had maybe like 1 copy of my new adult book for art. So I got a few copies of those. And if you ever bought books before, they're not cheap. So I do use Amazon to print my books. So it wasn't highly expensive, but that was a cost that, you know, I wish I didn't have to have, but it's almost like it is what it is. I have to have supply, not because I don't know what to expect. This is my first time doing this event. I know we did like Zoom calls and someone said, "Oh, I sold 12 books, so I'll let you know how much to bring." And because I had different books and some they were in hardback and hardback and paperback, I wanted to make sure I had, a good amount. So most of them I had a good like 6 or 8 books for each. So that's just tallied up. And so of course after subtracting my booth fee from the total sales I had, I only, capitalized on $109.50, but that's not subtracting what I had to buy to prepare for this event. So it's one of those things, like I've done smaller events and they haven't been fully successful to say like, yeah, I want to continue to do events. But it's one of the things that if you're going to enter into those event realm, there's going to be costs to get ready for to get your products and stuff. As you see, I had other products that I didn't just have my books. And in a way, I wish I just had my books, because then maybe I would have got more sales from my books. More people. I want to say my biggest item was the dust plugs and the enamel pens. Like I feel like if I didn't have those two, I'm thinking, will my sell count be a lot less, or will people have gravitated towards something else? I don't know. But I'm glad I had those items. I thought those items was very cute. Draw people to my table. But then, I hear so many different things where people will say like, "Oh, don't crowd your table. People don't know what to get. It might be overwhelming." Or, yeah, have different things. So, people have choices. So I went through the route of people having choices. So I had a little bit of everything. So that did help with me. I feel like when it came to having more sales, but I don't know if those other items deterred people from actually purchasing my books, because I only sold, I think, was it 4? No, 5. So 5 books total. Well, 6 if you count the one who had the gift set that included 2. So 6 books I sold, which I am grateful for, but definitely wish I sold more. But the people that did come to my table and bought other things, I was very grateful for that, to socialize with them and things like that. And I also, while I was like, when I was signing their books, I asked them to sign my book, which I forgot to bring. Let me pause this. Okay, so like I was saying, as I was signing the ones who bought my books, I asked them to sign my books, and I got this idea off of Pinterest. I'm not gonna take credit for this. Another person that was at a book event, um, she had that on her table to sign my book while I sign your book, and I thought that was just so cool. So here's from my newest novel, um, Beyond the Divine. My mind went blank. Beyond the Divine. One young lady who did get this one, I forgot to ask her to sign the book, and it broke my heart later on. And I looked back, it's like, oh no, I forgot to have her sign it. But one other person who bought the book, they signed something here, and then I had the person who got one of my books for the new adult version. She signed there. And then the two young ladies who got the gift set together. I might have forgotten one other person's signature. I'm trying to see because I told them to sign anywhere, so I wasn't really paying attention to where they were signing. And I'm thinking I might have forgotten one other person to sign, but this is from the mature version of art. They signed on these two here. Yeah, so I'm gonna continue to keep these books. These will be like my advertising books and books I always bring as I do events. So I can continue to have people sign my book and keep this collection and see how many signatures I can get in my novels. And I think this would be so cool just to look back on since this is in my early years of my publication. Um, yeah, I don't know. I just think that was just so. I'm glad I came across that on Pinterest and incorporated that on my table. But let's see. So let's get into some pros and cons of doing this event. Of course, pros they were pretty good with the having everything set up. I feel like this event they were very organized. This was their fourth year hosting this book festival. This was their first year doing it at the International Horse Park in Conyers. I think the last couple of times they had it at their actual. It's actually a bookstore that's hosting it. They actually had it at their bookstore. Um, this year they promised there's going to be more people there. I didn't go to their as a I guess as a viewer. I didn't go to the previous year, so I wasn't sure how their flow was as far as like the amount of people they drew into this festival. So for when they were talking like, oh, we were expecting to have this amount of people, they had a lot of panels, certain panels going on throughout the day. They had different events going on. Of course, they had vendor foods there. They had other activities there, things for kids to do. So it was set up to for people who are coming to enjoy the whole day while they're there, basically. And we were in a covered facility, so we didn't have to have a tent, which I very much appreciated. And how they had everybody set up, they had different groups and stuff with sections saying this is romance, this is mystery, this is kids. So you were set up in those particular groups and stuff like that. Also enjoyed that they were very hands on, making sure everybody had everything they need and that they were happy with what was there. They accommodated a lot of people because some people say, oh, I usually use this type of setup, and even though they wanted their tables and everything to be cohesive, they were very open to allowing people to have like other things, if that makes sense. Okay, I got a phone call and trying to think about where I left off at. But yeah, they were very accommodating because some people had different things that they wanted to have on their setup. So yeah, that was nice. That was that. As far as the cons, I mean, you cannot predict how many people are going to come to an event. You can only prepare for that and hope for the best. Like I said, I never went to any of their other prior years, so I can't compare how many people they had to that one versus this one. This one could have been a bigger turnout, but I think for the fee that we were paying, to me personally, I don't think enough people were there. Even though I was very grateful I was able to make my booth feedback, I knew some people didn't. Like there were some people around me and they people didn't even stop at their booth. They kind of just looked and then kept on going. And those poor people were there for the next day because like when we were leaving at the end, the people who's coming the next day, they just kept their stuff there. So I just pray the next day they got sales, because that's like the worst thing, to pay certain amount, this high price ticket for a booth and expecting to get this amount of people coming through, so you at least get your booth fee back. So the whole time I was there, there were these amount of, as you see, like even in the beginning, I expected an hour or so, to get people to walk through the whole area. As I said, it was a lot. I think there was like over 100 authors there, and they had well-known authors and stuff like that. So it was one of those situations, where you just look at, hopefully people will stop by and at least read the back of my book, and hopefully that will be interesting enough for them. Some people knew exactly where they were going to go. Some people going directly straight to some authors, and because they knew they was going to be there. As far as the promoting, I follow this, nothing I forgot to say. They did do a good job. Was like posting. They posted every single day on their social medias. They had, I them on Facebook, but they said they had a Facebook. I saw them posting on TikTok as well as Instagram. So they were constantly posting, and I was trying to post just as much, just making awareness of the event. But where I was stationed, for one thing, I wasn't even stationed in my right section. In my application, I put that I was a romance author. They had me in some type of miscellaneous section that included like mystery and stuff like that. I'm like, why I'm not in the romance section that's literally right over there? So in my mind, I was thinking, okay, so there were people when we did our Zoom calls were like, oh, well, can I sit next to this person because we help each other out and restroom breaks and this and that, and oh, I need to sit in this section because it's closer to here. So I think a lot of that maybe had an input in how they station people, and they probably just like, well, let me just put this person here. This person did say they need to be accommodated, so I'll just move them over there. But if I'm telling people I'm a romance author, I'm gonna be in a romance section, and they're looking for me in a romance section and don't see me, they're probably thinking that I didn't show up there. Like, not all people are gonna walk around the whole thing. If they don't like mystery, they don't have kids, they're gonna go to the kids section. They're just gonna stay in a section that they want to shop from. And even one of my book club friends were like, I didn't see you there. And I was like, I was there. I promise I was there. So I'm sure she probably just walked around the romance section and was like, oh, well, I don't know where she's at. So I don't know if she walked around the whole area. And I told her, like, okay, you might have passed by my booth when I went to the restroom. I don't know. But I'm like advertising and promoting myself as being a romance author, and someone I'm gonna be in a romance section, and then come to find out I'm not even in the section that I was telling people that I were gonna be at. So that was a little disappointing to see that they had me somewhere that not coordinated with the genre that I write. And then sorry, the light is going dark. Yeah. And also, like I said, the people that were doing it, hosting, they are a bookstore. Tell me why, like they mentioned this. They said, we want this to be all about the authors, because a good percentage of the authors are independent authors. They're with a small, I guess, like housing company, publishing company. So they're like, oh, we want this one to be about you guys. We want you guys to benefit from it and this and that. But we are going to have a table as well and sell some things. So in my mind, I'm thinking the things they're going to sell, it's like little bookish trinkets, maybe sweaters and tote bags and stuff like that. No, they had actual books. They were selling books from their bookstore, and not just like regular old books. They were selling like books that were just recently released. And I knew this because their booth was right across from mine. So when I say that I was once again disappointed in seeing that, because they kept a crowd at their booth. And in my mind, I'm thinking like, you guys are taking sales from the authors that are here. Like, it made no sense for all these independent authors to be here to want to promote their book, and then you guys are over here selling well-known authors books. You're not even thinking about that. Okay, if these books weren't here, that will push people to focus on the authors that they don't know. But because they don't know, in my mind, if I go to a book event and I look around, I might pick up a book, look at it, think about like, okay, I'll be back. But then I see someone selling books about an author that I know, that a book that I really want. I'm gonna buy that book. I'm not gonna really think about, oh well, I could give this book a try, because I know I'm probably gonna like this book more than I might like the book of an author I don't know. So that was very disappointing to say the least. And I don't know if they really took that in consideration, or if that wasn't even thought in their process of selling well-known books. But I had to witness that the whole entire time I was there. And sometimes people will come to my booth and be like, and look, and well, they'll be at their booth and then they'll see like, oh, she has tote bags. So I got a couple of tote bag sales because of that aspect, but it wasn't like they were interested in buying my book. They just wanted to buy the tote bags so they could put their books that they bought from them in there. Like they didn't even, glance at the books I had at my table, because they already had their mind set up that they're buying 3 or 4 books from their table. So that was a bit, disappointing to see. Yeah, and I can go on and on from there. Another thing, reason why it took me so long to do this video, because we were in like this warehouse type of building, which was nice. We were protected from the sun, but it was like, it did get hot later on in the event, so they turned the fans on. And the fan where I was sitting at, it wasn't on for like a good portion of the event, and I was so happy that it wasn't, because it has so much dust on it. And I remember probably halfway, I was starting to get a headache, and I was like sniffing a lot and stuff like that. And I looked up and my fan was on, and I was just like, all that dust just sprinkled over me and all my stuff. And by the end of the day, my head was like head hurting. I was feeling the pressure like here. Like I don't have allergies, but now living in Georgia, I feel like since I've been here for a while, allergies have become me. Like it's not as bad every single year, but being in an environment like that, yeah. So I couldn't breathe. I couldn't talk. I was constantly coughing for like a good 2.5 weeks. So that was another reason why it's taking so long for me to put this video out and just get my energy back after that. So that was another thing that I was just like, oh my gosh. But I had my son with me, but my oldest son, who's with me to set up and for a good portion of the beginning. And then my youngest son, my husband came and they switched out. So my oldest can have a break, bless his heart. He was a trooper. And then, my mom, she was there. She's a children's author. So to break down my dad, he came with my mom. So they helped me. And my youngest son helped break down at the end of the day. But in conclusion, I would say I'm grateful for the experience. Will I do this event again? I don't know. That's very hard to say, because this is the first one. Will I do things differently if I do decide to participate next year? Oh, most definitely. If I do decide to participate, I will do things differently. I won't have as many other options on my booth. I will mostly have my books and my postcards, because that's my artwork. It's associated with the book, and that will be it. I think that is all I will have. So no one will be, I guess, distracted to buy anything else. That would be it. But do I want to do other book events? I really do. I do. Will I have time to do them? That is the question. I don't know if I have time. We'll see, because right now I'm just all over the place, to be honest. Even though I haven't been doing talking videos, I have been posting my audiobook for my new adult version of Art. So if you haven't check that out. I mean, it's a free audiobook. So right now I have the prologue all the way up to chapter, I think 15 or 16. Don't quote me on that. But it's somewhere. Actually, I can look really quick because I'm working on the other one. Yeah, actually, it's have from the prologue up to chapter 13. Right now, I'm working on chapters 14 and 16. I'm hoping I'll be able to post that by this Friday. And yeah, so that's what I've been working on. I need to get back to writing the second book, to Beyond the Divine. The second book is following the second sister, Zoe. I'm gonna do a whole separate video talking about more in detail about the writing that I'm focusing on, because I think in my most recent last video I was saying how I am in between two different projects, writing projects. There's multiple that my mind is constantly thinking about, but actively writing and trying to edit two different series. So I haven't done any writing since the event. I kind of been putting all my energy on the audiobooks because I didn't realize how much time that was going to take. And and I'm in the process of, our family's in the process of relocating, like just moving. We're still going to be in the same state, but just moving. So I'm trying to wait till all that is done before I get back into writing, but then that's going to push my deadline back. And I'm trying to have this, I want to have the second book out by the end of summer, but we'll see. I don't want to rush it, but I also don't want to delay it, if that makes sense. But yeah, that's really all I wanted to come to today. I didn't want this video to be too long. Just want to share my thoughts of one of the biggest book events I've been part of. So yeah, what are y'all thoughts on book events or book festivals? Have y'all seen any success or feel like they're worth it? I am in the Georgia, Atlanta area. So yeah, like I was saying, if you have done book events, do you think they're worth it? Or do you feel like you rely more on social media to get book sales? I don't know. I haven't really noticed any book sales from my social medias. I've been lately trying to promote as much as I can, trying to post something, not necessarily every day, because I just don't have time to post every single day. Since now that I added YouTube in the mix of things. So I don't know. I'm in a state of mind where I'm just gonna continue doing what I'm doing and pray and trust that my time will come where I will see that all this work I'm putting into will pay off. So I'm just gonna be patient, continue to grow and learn. And I know God will send readers my way. Like I've grown to understand that, hey, I might not be a Kennedy Ryan or a Tracy Dion, and that's fine. You know, everybody have their own path in reaching their goals and the things they're going to learn and the things they achieved in life, and comparing is never a good idea. So it's a day-to-day telling yourself that, hey, what you do is worth it. What you do will change someone's life and will make someone smile, make someone happy, make someone feel loved. So that is why I'm continuing to show up, continue to write, continue to post as much as I can, if it's just for that one person. So yeah, once again, thank you for coming. And I think once again, I never introduced myself, so I'm gonna have to put in this clip in the front. So yeah, Charity, and I am a romance author, and I'm on this journey of becoming somebody's favorite author. And I will be happy that you guys continue to follow along with me. Like this video, subscribe. This was let the algorithm know that I'm pushing out entertaining content and informational content for others. And so, yeah, I will see you guys. Oh, let me just say how I'm going to be posting. As of right now, focusing on the audiobooks. I'm going to try to push out at least 3 talking videos a month. I'm trying not to put too much pressure on me doing these videos. Once everything's settled down and we're in our new place, I might be able to do more of a vlogging type of videos, but in the space we're in right now, that's just not gonna happen. Not gonna happen at the moment. But yeah, I will see you guys in the next one, and thank you so much for watching. Bye. I cannot hear me. I'm doing a very crappy job at recording, but I'm at the event. Got about a few more minutes and then we're gonna start. Went for a restroom break. I'm all set up, and yeah, this is the building they have all the authors and vendors inside of. Then they're gonna have other stuff outside over there, but right now this is what's going on. My mom is also one of the vendors today, but yeah. I'm just recording some footage now. Love it, love it. I love the videos playing.